So my name is Sonia Viera. I work at Engine by Starling, and I lead our European business.
All right. Now, I really want to dig into this Engine by Starling, because I think that's the name itself already tells a story, and I think it's a very interesting story to tell. So for our audience, what does Engine do, and what is it with Engine by Starling?
Of course. So it's a passionate story. It started with Anne, our founder. So Anne is a banker with 30 years experience that 10 years ago decided to build a digital bank from scratch so that she could scale a business both with high customer satisfaction, but also, very profitable. So she had an amazing adventure. She actually wrote a book about it. If you haven't read it, I suggest it because it's really interesting. The DNA was, have the customer at the center and employee at the center as well. So she created a bank that delivers an amazing experience and is very successful. So Starling has now more than 4 million customers in UK and is highly profitable. So last year we achieved more than 600 million of revenue and 50% profit. One of the success factors of Starling Bank is the platform. So we created a platform from scratch with our own IP to run the daily operations of a bank from front to back. Then what was decided was to do the spin-off of that platform and start Engine. So Engine is a SaaS business, is a managed service that now we can offer to other banks across the world to transform their digital experience and benefit from the experience of not just the tech, but also the embedded operating model that makes Starling a success. When we actually show the platform to other banks, what really stands out and they are not expecting is to have that single dashboard where all the teams that work for the bank operate from. If you're working on the contact center or the onboarding or the ML or in the payments in the product development, everyone works out of the same platform that has all the processes that were improved over time embedded. So that makes it a great employee experience. It's easy for people to get trained and onboarded, retains talent, and that reflects in the end on the customer satisfaction that we have.
That platform was designed with resilience in mind from day one. It's extremely important that customers are able to access their money when they need to. It's very important for economies that banks don't suffer from outages. And so from day one, Starling's platform was built with these principles in mind. And one of the things that brings that to life is this idea of the chaos monkey, which is it's a computer routine that emulates a monkey getting into your data center and destroying things. And we run that to test the principles of the self-healing nature of the architecture of the platform.
This morning we had a really, really insightful session and a panel discussion where we talked about some of the challenges that banks might face when thinking about engaging into a core banking transformation program, which is highly complex, highly risky, requires a lot of resources. And in the Nordics, oftentimes what we hear is like, yes, what you're telling me sounds great. It would be nice, but everything's fine. There's no need for us to look into this right now because everything's fine. Well, what is it that you tell banks when you hear this type of response?
Modernization is never a business case driven by IT. To be successful, it needs to be a business case driven by growth. With an accelerator like Engine, actually, you can flip the way you're positioning this type of undertaking, right? So you reduce the risk because you have certainty on the results. You know that you're adopting an operating model that has been proven. The question of staying where you are now, I think sooner or later you will have to either make that decision by yourself, or you will have the competition that will actually make it do it.
I think every bank wants to modernize. The issue is the risk and the cost of the journey. And I believe that with when your starting point is a complete solution that works from day one, you can take a lot of the risk out of a modernization program and focus your energies on the difficult bits of migration and establishing coexistence architectures and operational transformation, as opposed to the time and expense of building a working target solution to migrate to.
So I think one of the topics we discussed a lot today was a core modernization is really just about the technology. It's often considering the sort of customer proposition you're looking to take to markets, as well as the technology itself, the platform choices that you make, but also the operating model that you put around that new technology in order to run the proposition in the markets. PwC has sort of expertise across those domains, and actually one of the critical pieces that we do bring is the regulatory insights into local markets. So being able to make sure that the platform not only sort of works technically, but actually is compliant within a local market as well.
When you've deployed Engine in other banks, in other regions, what have been the most surprising or unexpected benefits that you've observed in organizations that have taken the decision to transform their core banking?
What is amazing with our customers is that they are taking the best practices and the processes to create a foundation, but then they are innovating and accelerating that journey. So for instance, one of our customers, for the launch, they used a founders club where the first 80,000 people to join will be, will have a special card, and if they go public, they will actually have shares. And after a few weeks of the official launch, they have more than 150,000 customers, and now they are, in an exponential growth curve that is different from the Starling one, because Starling was based in word of mouth, and so we are, it just shows that our platform can be the foundation where you can build to extra growth. One of the clients that we worked with, from the top down, they realized that was actually the way to be successful. They chose to partner with us, and they train the people on our processes, and they decided to adopt instead of adapt. And what that made was, in a very short period of time, less than 12 months, while we actually were setting up the platform for them, they were able to focus on two things: on the value proposition, what do they want to take to the market to differentiate against the competition of the incumbents, but also new entrants like Revolut or the new banks of this world, as well, focusing on the branding and the launch of this sidecar that they were defining. So they actually, by leveraging our platform and ways of working, it free up the customer to really focus on what will give them the competitive advantage and help them be a winner in the market.
I think every bank wants to be customer centric. It's the right thing to do. It's just the organization and systems and complexity gets in the way. It's very difficult to, when you're managing a call center, for example, it's a big line item in the cost base of the bank. And so you need to manage the cost base of the bank carefully in order to provide services to your customers. And that leads you down a path of managing departments for efficiency, all of which can take you down a route of actually not being customer-centric and making investment decisions for efficiency reasons, not because they're going to make life better for your customers. Arguably, and this might be slightly controversial, but a lot of the investment that's going into AI at the moment is efficiency-based. It's not necessarily to make life better for your customers. So, banks that are adopting Engine, though, they're starting from a materially lower cost base. for a variety of reasons. You running a single system to run the bank, you have very efficient processes. So that and Starling Bank itself has a very low cost to serve compared to other banks in the UK for that reason.
Right. We also heard today that there's the technology part, there's a risk part, there's the regulatory part, but then ultimately it all comes down to having buy-in from the top. With the clients that you've worked in, what do you think are the biggest challenges that executives face to getting these type of programs approved?
Yeah, so I think one of the challenges faced by many banks is that they're running on legacy systems that have been heavily configured, heavily customized over time. And it can be incredibly difficult to unwind some of those technologies that are in place. So it can be a very complex program. The challenge that they face is sort of thinking through, how do I go about this program? Do I decide to sort of rip out what I've got today, replace it with something else? Do I decide to incrementally innovate or sort of build on top of what I've got or modernize some of the journeys? Or do I actually try to sort of stand something up alongside the system that I've got today and sort of migrate to that over time? I think fundamentally, that's one of the biggest decisions that some of these organizations need to make, some of these sort of senior leaders within these organizations need to make. Unless they have that sort of North Star in terms of that aspiration, it can be incredibly difficult getting teams rallied around what they're trying to do.